You know, I can't wait to have the ringing out of my ears from my headset. That's a way to start a video. Okay, so we're gonna go look into adjusting the sliders. I've done a little bit of testing, not a whole lot, but I've done enough where I feel comfortable playing around and trying to make some adjustments. Well, and actually, trying this. So for gameplay sliders, which is where I'm going to start off, I'm going to adjust the XP and the other ones as we go, but gameplay was probably the one where I was playing and I was like, I feel comfortable with this. It didn't, like, there's not too terribly much to change. I up the tackling a little bit, I up the pass coverage a little bit just because letting the CPU do the tackling, sometimes it's going to break. The running backs will break quite a bit of tackles. Sometimes the computer will just letting the CPU do the tackling will have the player kind of just dive and try to hit. I want them more to wrap up, so we might be able to get that with a +1, maybe a +2. Interceptions, we don't get a whole lot. It's more like those passes that are really bad should be picked off, but the ones where it's like a earlier Russell Wilson moon ball and it's just dropped in the breadbasket, avoiding the last Madden type of thing. And they've been you can actually throw a deep ball now, which I've been excited for, like a go route, and you clearly have the step that DB won't slap it all the time. They'll still get up there and swat it if it's a really good DB. But if you have a step, a lot of the time you have good accuracy, it'll be just fine. As for the CPU, it's been hard to get it to miss. And then trying to just form a little bit of pressure on them by dropping the pass blocking a little bit. And by the way, before I get too far into this, these are the sliders that I feel comfortable playing. You might not, if you choose to do this, you might not feel comfortable. You might think my sliders are complete trash. I'm doing it for my experience, not for anybody else's experience. I'm not Matt 10. And when Matt 10 comes out, his probably going to give them a shot and see how they feel. They'll probably feel 10 times better. But till then, playing this because I want to get this stuff rolling. Trying to get them to drop some passes. This might get lowered to 43 as well, just to have them, when our guys get over there and hit them, they'll drop some passes, because when the CPU gets over there and be letting the receiver, the ratings actually try to catch the ball, they, if one or two players actually come up, they might actually drop it. Like Terry McLaurin might not drop as many passes. He might still drop a few just because things happen. But, he'll catch nearly everything, whereas Curtis Samuel might not catch everything. Jahan Dotson might catch everything. Diami Brown might be the one dropping some stuff. I want to try and get some of that variety over on the CPU side when it comes to our player being draped all over it. I feel like sometimes that ball should get knocked out. Did lower their run blocking just a tiny bit because the CPU actually will run the ball way better this year, as people have probably seen with Madden. Took that approach that Maximum Football has of actually scanning for the hole, and the CPU, I'm talking like Saquon Barkley style running of there's a hole, hit it, here's the guy on my right, I'm going to turn left, I'm going to juke out everybody, and then I'm going to take it for 6. Kind of like what Tony Pollard was in Madden for a while. I'm leaving their pass coverage and tackling alone, but the interception did get dropped because a lot of times it won't even be a bad pass, but the CPU just picks everything off. It just goes for it. As for pass defense reaction and fumbles, I'm leaving those alone. And I'm trying that on 55 for us, because I still got to remember if going up actually gives us a chance there. But CPU actually plays pretty decently. The only thing I've adjusted really for special teams was kickoff power. Should get touchbacks. There's quite a few touchbacks that happen. Leaving punt accuracy, power, and field goal alone. Injuries, mine was at 25. I played a couple games. I had it at 15. I didn't see too many. I've heard about a lot of people about QBs being injured, so I'm going to try to avoid that, but, things happen. I'm leave it at 20. Fatigue's at 65. The minimum threshold is at 53. I'm going to up that one. And I'm running penalties somewhat similar to last year. I'm not touching blocking the back or roughing the passer. Those have been called a whole lot, and I haven't seen if they fix it or not. But as for defensive pass interference, I mean, sometimes the CPU is more draped all over a player than they need to be. So we're going to see if that gets called a bit. Expect holding, because as an offensive lineman, you ain't holding, you actually ain't blocking. False start, offside. Not going to touch face mask, because that's also another one that gets called quite a bit. Yeah, 5 minutes in, I'm running through this. But that's when it already has set up. Again, I just want to go ahead and get this out of the way. I know I did that at the end of the last video, but just to kind of go. If you were here last video, then you already know. But if you weren't, we did a wheel spin where we spun the wheel for each of the levels of the class. For, you know, they have very weak, normal, strong, very strong. So I'm going to leave it back at very weak where it was, but I spun the wheel for every single one of these positions. All the way down to even kickers and punters. Since they had the option, we're going to spin that wheel. And it's a strong linebacker draft. So anybody who's not, you know, hand in the dirt all the time. A strong defensive end. So strong linebacker and edge rusher draft. So if you want some defense and you're trying to get to the quarterback, this is that draft. It's a very strong tight end draft, but it's really weak at quarterbacks, running backs, receiver, offensive line is weak. So this is a tight end, linebacker, edge rusher draft. And punters. Punters are also people. But that will go for our draft classes. Now for XP sliders. I'm going based on feeling here, just on how I think. No testing, but I want to get something done. Again, this is me. If it's something that needs to be changed, it'll probably be changed. By the time this comes out, there might be something out there. Who knows? We'll see how close I can get. But what I'm gonna start off with is the age of regression sliders. I'm gonna start there, and I'm gonna work my way up. Because at 26, I feel like 26 is 2 levels lower. This is a little bit to running backs. I'm going to leave 28 and 29 as 100, but as they get closer to 28, 29, that's about where some players will start regressing. And as they hit age 30, that's when we're going to start ramping things up. I'm going to ramp it up by 10 each time. I feel like that's appropriate. I almost want to put 35 at like 200 plus, at 200 where you need to retire type of thing. But there have been some players that have reached there. You know, as you get older, yes, they should probably drop off. Like 29 will start at 28's about, you know, some players should, I feel like, regress. But I think running back market, this is really going to help that. Quarterbacks, receivers, linemen, like DBs, some safeties can play for a while. Some receivers play for a while. I mean, Steve Smith played for a long time. Peanut Tillman played for a long time. Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers. You got all these guys that are playing like well into their 30s. Now, kickers and punters, I'll be honest, I'm leaving that one alone. That's regret. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to leave it alone. Now, we're going to start out at defense. I'm going to do it for, because it's hard to say on some of this just because of the way I'm thinking right now. You would think defensive line, defensive ends and tackles, I feel like they would start regressing harder simply because not only are they a lot of the times bigger players, they're also going through collisions and there's a lot of wear and tear on the body. So when it comes to them, I'm going to bump them up to 120 as a skill position. As their positions are doing a lot. I feel like middle linebackers should also be, around 120. I'm going to end up changing this right before it. Actually not 120 for defensive ends. I feel like defensive ends 110, like they can go. And I'm gonna do outside linebackers the same just because a lot of times defensive ends and outside linebackers tied together. But I feel like middle linebackers, D tackles take a lot of punishment. And they really gotta get going with it. But the guys that are doing like the most hitting, yes, they will have more regression than the guys that don't. Like corners, I'm gonna drop them by 10. And strong safety, I'm gonna leave alone, but free safety, I'm gonna drop by 10. Actually, because free safety, you need your stuff, and safety kind of falls off. Corner is like the one that really, I'm gonna leave safety alone, but corner's gonna drop by 10 because corners are the ones that I feel like they play a lot longer and then they can move to safety. But I'm gonna leave that alone. As for offensive guards, centers, and tackles, they play for quite a bit, so I'm gonna come back to that. But running backs, I think you already know where I'm going with this. And quarterbacks are gonna drop. I'm gonna drop them to 80. They really don't. They really don't regress that much. I'm sorry, I saw it. I had to just go up there real quick because at 35, you really shouldn't be earning anything. You topped off. That's it. Like by age 30, you probably top off. Receivers, this is regression. I feel like receiver can go down. Tight end will go up to 120 because they're also getting up there. Like, I'm gonna give Travis Kelce his props on playing for as long as he has. There's also like Antonio Gates. But a lot of other tight ends I feel like wouldn't be playing as long. Fullback, I'm going to put a fullback at 120 just like tight end because a lot of fullbacks are really H-backs. A lot of tight ends are H-backs that play fullback and are just like an extra blocker sometimes. Offensive tackles, guards, and centers. What do we have here? Offensive line. You have some players that play for quite a long time. You have some that play for like not as long. What I'm going to do is I'm going to up them by 10. I'm going to leave it at 10. I'm going to leave them just like the defensive linemen. Actually, now that I think about it, while there are some older defensive ends, I feel like when a defensive end really declines, like really hits that time, he's going to decline. And I feel like defensive tackles might stay longer. No, as a position, that was right on the first move of them. I mean, you're gonna see like somebody's just gonna like, for instance, I'm just gonna throw Jonathan Taylor's name out there because he's the only one on my mind at the moment when it comes to thinking about running backs because of the Colts situation. You're gonna like get into year 2 and just bam, just from 94 to just like whatever his rating is, just down to 80 something, just quickly. It's gonna be looking bad. As for progression through the years, let's be honest here. If you're 20, I could see them nearly doubling, like your XP. You're that young, I feel like you should be really gaining. And 21 could be about. Actually, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna jump it there. I'm gonna jump this to 140, and I'm gonna jump this one to 130. At 24, like, and as they get older, they start dropping. 26 is about when they really are in their peak, so I'll give them 110. 27, 110. 28 is about where we start dropping off. Like, I want like a steady decline. Like, a lot of players' primes are from like age 24 to 27, 24, 26, 27, 24, yeah, 24 to 27. I'll give them that. Because then you're gonna start earning below average XP. So that's what I'm going for there. Now, as for the progression rate of positions, kickers and punters are going to be left alone. I'm gonna scroll from the offense down. Quarterbacks, I'm gonna leave them at 90. I'm gonna leave it at 84. I think I did this in the other Madden, and while I did stop recording because I wasn't feeling it, I did still play it, and I did notice that, like, you know, when it came to like getting some newer quarterbacks, it was going pretty well. Running backs, this still does it as a whole. I feel like with the way running is this year, that can go to 94. Receiver, well, fullbacks are going to need to be up. There aren't that many in there. Offensive linemen in general, I want to bring up because they always are. It's always been tough to get offensive linemen, especially if they're at like normal dev. They can't get anything. Receiver can go down to 94 as well as running back. I feel like because they get a lot of the bulk, and tight ends will go to 96. Offense is, I feel like it's way easier to get XP for just doing simple like basic stuff. Like, and I say basic, but offense, a lot of players will get the ball. I might up this I'm gonna up this by 10. I'm gonna up this by 10 just because I'm thinking like this might not be enough. And that's how I'm feeling right now. Now defensive end, the progression rate. Well, let's be honest. Outside linebackers and defensive ends, they don't have to be that. I don't think they have to be that high. I think because they're the ones that are able to get a lot of the sacks and the pressures and tackles and everything. I feel like the interior won't get it as much. So we can drop both of those guys to 90. And middle linebacker will go up to, and defensive tackles will go up to 120, just like offensive linemen. Just because a lot of times they're not getting as much action, especially with the way the CPU likes to run outside. Corner will take to 96. Free safety and strong safety will go down to 1 to 98. And yeah, on a whim, that's what I'm gonna go with. For year one, we're gonna see how this looks. I'm gonna go through it again because I feel like I just went too fast. But here's offense. That's what I'm rolling with. Here's defense. Special teams right below that. Age progression all the way down to age 28 real quick. Now age regression all the way down to 35. Regression for offense real quick. Regression for defense. Special teams. Regression to age 35. That's the age area. And I know the first episode, I know this might be a little more boring. Did gameplay sliders, just did XP sliders. I think the only other thing that I really need to do is I need to go to manage staff. Auto subs. I use auto subs for other positions. The only position I really don't mess around with auto subs in is running back. And that's simply because I hate that I have to do it like this. I can't just hold it. I gotta click really quick. But I like to do auto subs. Only reason I don't do it for running back is because running back's the one position where I'll change it pretty often or pretty quickly or try and keep it simulation style, but the CPU is going to need a little help there. As well as receiver, that's why I also have the fatigue up as high as I do, to try and get other players on the field a little bit. Hopefully that can get them maybe a couple hundred snaps throughout all the games. But I'm going for certain positions down only by 4 apiece. That gets them on the field where they're able to get on and off. They won't have to do too much. Only other position, I feel like I had this a different way. Now I'm gonna go by 45 because nope, it's 60 to about 50 something. Because tight ends do change. Some tight ends don't change out. Some of them are on the field for quite a bit. And offensive line. Anyone who knows offensive line, you really will not see too many subs there. Those guys on the field consistently, they're on the field. They got to be on that field for every snap. They're like an engine. You don't change your engine every. Personally, I don't change my engine every couple of miles. But a running back, if we're talking about cars, running backs like tires, receivers like oil. Going on to the defense, outside, interior, all that, you know what I mean? That was a bad analogy, you know what I mean. What I'm getting at is, yeah, they treat it like a business and everything. But on the defense, they're going to have guys that should be constantly rotating. That's what I'm going for here. Is to have guys be consistently rotating. Might take a little bit to get this. Might have to even raise these a little bit more. But I feel like we could get something here. Oh no, wait! I remember what this was. Because I want to keep this as consistent as I can. Linebackers also do change out pretty frequently. I think it's corners and safeties that don't change out as much. I'm going to go 50 to 60 here, and then I'm going to go safety doesn't change out as much. I'm going to go 40 to 45, 40 to 50, around that area. And as I think about it, I don't think I really have too much else to say when it comes to doing sliders and stuff that I just feel comfortable with. I got about 10. So just anything else I want to do, it was try to fill out this roster just for week one's sake, just a tiny bit. And make cuts as we need to. But I want to go get a... Probably grab a left guard. We'll probably grab another offensive tackle. We'll grab 2 linebackers. And that's it. And then we'll make like a cut or two of people that, you know, might not make the team in general. Let's go ahead and look to see before, you know, they actually truly get signed. Who else here? Kareem Hunt. Did he get signed yet? I don't think Leonard Fournette got signed. I haven't seen anything on Taylor Lewan. But, hey, it's already out there. We're just going to leave it. We bring Kyle Fuller in to help out with his brother. That'd be something. But, like I said, let's go bring in another left guard. I'm not going to bring in, like, the top guys. I want to bring in somebody that's going to have, like, some kind of, like, a little bit of competition, but it's mainly just there to help out for preseason, somebody that can make the team. Like Forrest Lamp, we'll bring him in for preseason. I don't know if he'll actually make the team, but we also don't have a whole ton of cap room. So that's also something to look at. I mean, yeah, we're going to have like $100 million in cap when the season's over with. That doesn't exactly help us now. I know what I want to do. I want to look for anybody that's practice squad eligible to maybe get them on the practice squad. And Carson Green. Let's take a look at Carson Green real quick. Hey, I know he's only a 58 overall. I don't expect him to get too much playing time. But he is going to help us out for the preseason, get a little competition there, and really show how these sliders are going to react. We're going to need a left outside linebacker. Aaron Hansford would probably be the guy that we bring in here. Just because he fits scheme. You know, he's been in the league for a year. I feel like he might be able to help us out here. He has 83 speed, 64 block shedding. He's going to have to work on some of his ratings, but give him a click. I'm going to see how this goes. I also wanted a middle linebacker to kind of like help out there as well. A middle linebacker needs to be I think it's supposed to be a field general, but I don't see any field generals there. And I almost want to bring in Dylan Moses to kind of help out with some of the Alabama stuff. Like just the whole Alabama theme that this team has. 69 block shedding, 86 speed. I mean, 69 block shedding for a linebacker is not terrible. That 57 zone is something that can be worked on. But he could turn himself into a quality backup. He might even make the team depending on how he goes. But he's got stuff to work on. But 86 speed, 78 tackle, 83 pursuit. You know, I think we can work with that. We'll bring him. And I think that's all we really need to sign was 2 linebackers, a left guard, and a right tackle to kind of help us out there. Of course, we're not going to be able to play a game yet. We need to cut down 3. And so the players that are not going to make it past week 1 right now, I want to keep that tight end because I want to keep a long snapper on the team. I want to make it a little more difficult. We're not going to cut any quarterbacks yet. Running backs, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6. And 85 speed. Jonathan Williams might not make it. He's also 29 years old. And we do get something there. So we're gonna let him walk. At receiver, Marcus Kemp has 86 speed. I want to give the receivers a chance before I cut any of them. Tight end wise, oh, that's tough. I think I'm gonna wait on the tight ends. We have 4 left tackles. We have 3 right tackles. I think I see what they were doing there. Was gonna have like somebody for the swing to play swing tackle. We have 3 centers. Right now we have 2 guards, and we have 2 guards on each side. So we're gonna have some of those tackles play guard as well to try and get some versatility. Defensive ends. And they don't recommend cutting any of the defensive ends. They say keep everybody. On the far side, on the right side, they said keep everybody. At defensive tackle, they do recommend cutting one person, and that is Benning. Potee. I'm not going to be able to get that guy's name. But I won't have to, because he's also going to have to find another team. Now, if they're doing really good, in like camp, I'm not going to know about it, going by the ratings in the game. We do have 2 linebackers here. Maybe he takes over for Mayo, depending on how things go. We do have 3 middle linebackers now. I still want to give Dejon Harris a good chance to actually make the team, like in front of Dylan Moses, so we'll see what happens there. For right outside linebacker, we're going to leave everybody. For corner, I feel like it's going to end up being Jace Whitaker right now. 28 years old. We would lose 100 in cap space right there. Well, if we go at Rashad Wild Goose, he is 23. Same speed, but he's better in coverage over Whitaker. Tariq Castro Fields, he's 24. He's a better zone cover corner, 93 speed. Christian Holmes, going to lose cap there. Danny Johnson at 27. I feel like we should keep him. We'll go from the bottom up. We'll take Jace Whitaker for now. And we'll take the 100 in penalty. And now we're going to go ahead and get ready for week 1. I'm just going to go ahead and just do the training. That's something off stream because it's the same as playing mini games, which I feel like that's going to take quite a bit of time to put on there. But the next video after this will be highlights, if I can have any, of the preseason games. It'll be all 3 against the Browns, Ravens, and Bengals. And in week 1, we'll take on the Cardinals and hopefully start off 1-0 and see what we can get here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure that you like the video, subscribe, share it. Let's try and get this thing going as we have entered the Goldamite era of Washington Commanders football before they change their name somewhere. I'll see you guys in the next one. I did say Friday, so that's going to be the goal. So I'll see everybody then. I hope you guys can make it there.